Dinner at the Filippi house was formal, even if it was just the five of us. Mama set the table in her usual meticulous way, every place setting perfectly aligned. Napkins folded tight, her wedding silver set out for special occasions, like Wednesdays. Papa sat at the head, cradling a glass of Sezanese. My older brother Luca lounged to his left, reeking faintly of cigarettes and gel. Alessia, my kid sister, lined up her silverware precisely, glancing at me with silent warning as we took our seats. I watched Mama lower the steaming tray of saltimbocca, the smell of sage blooming, and I could almost hear my heart beat in my ears. There was something about the weight of family eyes, those expectant, doubting gazes, that made my own hands shake. I tried not to let the tremble reach my voice. "I want to be a chef," I had said, softly at first, then stronger, each word pulled from me like a bone from a stubborn joint. "Not just in any kitchen. I want to make my own place, serve food the way I believe it should be." "That's enough," Papa interrupted. He set his fork down with a deliberate, metallic clink. The room hushed. Even Alessia's fidgeting stilled. I felt Mama's gaze land on me, careful, searching for reason. "Chef?" repeated Luca, smirking, stretching the word as if it were a joke. "Not even a maitre d'? A chef? And what are you planning, spaghetti for the Pope?" I could feel the fear, sharp, coiling in my gut. I tried to keep my voice steady, channeling something like defiance, but it wavered. "I'm serious. I want to cook, build something of my own. I know how this sounds, but it sounds ridiculous," Papa snapped, slicing through my words. "You went to university. I paid for your economics books. And now you want to waste everything, your education, your name-chasing kitchen smoke?" "It's not a waste." My hands balled into fists. "I know what I want." Mama set her hand over my knuckles, gentle but firm. "You are young. Dreams change. Maybe you try for a bank, a stable job, steady pay. Think of your future." Alessia stared at her plate, twisting a napkin. Luca's laughter was short and cold. "Next you'll be telling us you want a reality show. Will you make us eat bugs, tiny foams? Paolo, you can barely boil water without burning the pan." The blood in my veins seemed to thrum with heat and shame. I wanted to disappear or shout. I did neither. Instead, I straightened in my chair, clung to that fragile spear of defiance, and pushed on. "Maybe you think it's silly, but it's what matters to me, even if none of you understand." Papa's face darkened. "Enough." Each syllable pronounced like a verdict. "You want to throw away your life on this farce? Don't come to me when you fail. Don't expect money. Don't expect help. You'll learn the hard way." The next morning, I packed a battered duffel bag and left, my mother's silent eyes following me from the window. The cobblestones of Prati felt chill underfoot, the city's early light unchanged by catastrophe. Cars hissed by, indifferent. I carried the weight of their words with me, inescapable as hunger. I started small, too small for pride, washing dishes in a Trastevere osteria with grease streaking my hair, the owner barking orders I couldn't always understand. "You learn quickly, or you leave." Back then, I dreamed in plates, the shape of salt flakes on tomatoes, the crackle of roasting fat, the shiver of steam when garlic hit oil. The fear was constant. Every slip, every burned sauce, every time a chef rolled his eyes at my ambition and muttered, "You think you'll be Gualtiero Marchesi?" But each insult hardened into something else, a kind of stubbornness built of hunger and humiliation. Nights were worst. Alone in a cramped room, I could hear my noisy neighbor's TV, the sound of laughter that wasn't mine. Hunger gnawed at my belly and my mind. I kept my mother's last text to me on my phone, lines of hope and uncertainty. "Paolo, please be careful. Sometimes dreams are only dreams. Call me if you need." I didn't call. Months blurred into years. Trastevere to Testaccio, dish pit to prep cook, chopping onions until my fingers shriveled, cleaning squid until dawn. Making less in a month than Papa lost at poker in an hour. The humiliation of classmates arriving for dinner while I wore an apron and begged for their tips. The way they snickered when I rattled off specials. "You, Filippi?" one of them gasped to his table. "Isn't your father a banker? Look at you now, ah?" They never left generous tips. Still, I learned. I watched when chefs argued over caponata, when old line cooks handled dough like holy relics. I listened to their secrets. 2 drops of lemon in the sauce, never oil before the chili. I swallowed my pride, asked questions, took notes on napkins. Sometimes in the quiet before service, I dreamed of my own kitchen, smelled the caramelized onions I would serve, the laughter I would build with every plate. Sometimes the struggle felt bottomless. One winter I lost my job. How else does it happen? The owner's cousin needed work. I wasn't family. My rent was late. I called home. Just to hear my sister's voice, telling her I was all right. I stared at restaurant windows bright with laughter, watched families eating, fathers pouring wine. I hated them, and I envied them desperately. But the work dug roots in me. Each failure, every chef's insult, every burnt risotto became fuel. People noticed, slowly. A head chef once grunted after tasting my vongole and said, "You don't cook like a coward. Come back tomorrow." By my mid-20s, I landed at a trattoria near Campo de Fiori, under a chef who threw pots and gave out affection in brutal, barked syllables. He was the first to believe I might be something besides a punchline. "Read," he demanded, handing me battered cookbooks after service. "Ask, taste, steal from everyone. Throw away all the rules, except mine." The city changed as my skills sharpened. I noticed the subtle colors in smoke, learned the pulse of crowds, understood the fatigue behind the beauty. Slowly, I worked my way up. Sous chef, then head chef at a small enoteca, finally running a kitchen as tough and quick as any in Rome. My hands bore scars, new and old, burns, knife slips, marks of those years spent hungry and nervous and foolish enough to chase a dream. The idea for my own place came not as a flash, but as a quiet ache. I wanted a kitchen that felt like memory, like home, but stripped of shame. Dishes my mother made, food that felt honest but daring. After too many years, I scraped together enough for a 12-seat spot near Via Giulia, as narrow as a corridor but filled with light. I called it Piccolo Fuoco, small fire. It felt right. I built every detail myself. The tables, stained by my own hands, splinters and sweat set deep in the grain. The menu, each dish obsessively tested, tweaked into something I thought could stand on its own. I borrowed money. I called in favors. I slept on the floor some nights, cradling a coffee mug for comfort, too tired to dream of much. The opening night was a blur. Friends of friends, local critics, a food blogger or 3 who pronounced everything with chewed vowels. Each plate felt like a dare. The food landed, quietly at first, then stronger. Someone posted a photo. Another wrote about a hidden spark in a new Roman kitchen. We filled up. Word spread in the slow, sticky way these things do. I did not call home. Not when the reviews rose. Not when I finally saw my name printed in black on white. Not when lines snaked down the block in spring. The ache for my family flickered, but I let it stay quiet. Maybe I meant to prove something. Maybe I just didn't know what to say. 3 years after opening, on a cool evening in May, I stared out the tiny window of Piccolo Fuoco and saw Mama standing in the street. She looked older, hair grayer, but her hands still fussed with invisible buttons smoothing her skirt. Papa trailed behind her, stiff-jawed, wearing a suit despite the warmth. Alessia straight ahead, head high, scanning the door as if daring it to impress her. Luca was last, already on his phone, barely looking up. They walked into a packed dining room. I nearly dropped a saucepot. It was as if ghosts from another life had materialized, uncertain, self-conscious. Mama spotted me, her face blooming in anxious hope. For a moment, panic threatened to undo me. I tasted the fear again, sharp, sour as vinegar, the old trembling shame. I wiped my hands, wiped again, then walked out into the dining room. I forced my voice steady. Buonasera. Table for 4? Alessia grinned, bold now. You look like a real chef, she said, apron and all. Behind her, Papa surveyed the space. He took in the handwritten menu on the blackboard. The